crazy.
Late.
It is late.
Today is a huge day for us. After months of planning, workshop restructuring, and waiting, our new machine has finally arrived. This right here is pretty much the entire reason we tore the workshop apart and reshuffled everything. Every move, every decision, all of it was done with this machine in mind. Seeing the shipping container roll in is one thing, but knowing what is inside makes it feel unreal. This is not just another piece of equipment turning up. This is a serious step forward for us and for the kind of work we can take on.
Yep. All clear.
Spot on, yeah. Those things are cool, hey?
Thank you again. Sorry for the delay.
You've been great, thank you.
How you going, guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. So today is a very exciting day because it is New Machine Day, and this is pretty much the entire reason why we did the workshop restructure, and that was to make enough room for our new machine. So we're going to open these doors and show you what we're working with, because we've got Scott's Transport on their way over to get it unloaded.
Aha! Can you fit down there? Without getting stuck?
No.
Oh, it's hot in here.
The machine is completely wrapped, so you can't see much yet, but you can already tell this thing is huge. It's been bolted to a steel skid for moving it in and out of the container, and it fills the container from one end to the other with almost no space around it. And just in time, the guys from Scott's Cranes and Transport arrive. Zach and Cooper are first in the service truck, and Barry rolls in with his AT40 40-ton Franna crane.
Yeah. This thing's so cool.
There genuinely was no one else we would trust with a job like this. Scott's handled all of our machinery moves, and we also store quite a bit of equipment with them, so they know our gear and our workshop inside out. For something this heavy and this important, we would not trust anyone else for the job. First step is getting the machine out of the container, and to do that it needs to be dragged out on the steel skid. They rig the chains from the steel skid to the front of the Franna and gently pull it forward until there is just enough room to bring a spreader bar in over the top. Once the spreader bar is chained around the sides of the skid, the team can start easing the machine out of the container. This is one of those moments where everything has to be done carefully. The space is tight, the machine is heavy, there is zero room for mistakes. This is the point where the size of it really starts to hit us. The machine is not all the way out of the container. There is still a bit to go, but they've had to stop and lift it so that they can put machinery skates underneath. So they've put a machine skate on each side of the skid, and they've also put a bar through them to hold them in alignment. And they are also putting blocks of timber on top of the machine skates to make sure the steel skid clears the concrete when it's lowered back down. And now that the skates are all set up correctly, it is finally time to finish pulling this machine all the way out, clear of the container. Now the machine is successfully out of the container and in the open, Curtis starts unwrapping it for the first proper reveal. And here it is, our brand new mega ball lathe. The moment the wrap comes off, the size of this thing just hits us straight away. It measures just over 9 meters long, 2.3 meters wide, 2.2 meters tall, and weighs almost 18 ton. Standing next to it really puts the scale into perspective. This is an absolute monster lathe for our workshop. It's built for some serious heavy work. With 1.6 meters swing over the bed and 6 meters between centers, it immediately opens the door to jobs we've never been able to take on before. The gear that comes with it is just as serious. There is a huge 1250mm 4-jaw chuck, 2 big steady rests, and a whole pile of accessories. Seeing it all uncovered for the first time really drives home the exciting possibilities of what our business can take on from this point forward.
Guys, that's the steady rest. Whoa. Look at the size of the chuck.
Before the lathe can be lifted off the skid, we need to remove the pile of accessories. Here you can see the transformer, hydraulic tank, and some extra covers. Curtis just needs to get it all unbolted so we can get it all moved.
Here we go.
The The blue box is the coolant tank. Then we've got some wooden crates full of bits and pieces like the leveling feet, chuck key, tailstock center, and in the big wooden crate is a massive faceplate.
You want to help too?
Anything else? That's all a bit big. Does that matter? Or are you just going to go for it? That must be heavy. That's under it. Oh. Up. Yep. Wow.
By this point, it is absolutely roasting. The workshop temperature gauge is showing that it's already over 32 degrees with high humidity, but outside it feels way hotter than that. Now Curtis gets stuck into unbolting the lathe from the steel skid. There are M30 bolts going down through each of the holes, which are actually the positions for the leveling feet, and there are 9 on each side, so 18 bolts holding it down in total. And undoing it by hand, this ends up being one of the longest parts of the entire process.
Oh no. Oh.
Once all the bolts are removed, the machine is finally free from the skid. It is time to rig it for lifting. There are no shortcuts here because there are no through holes for lifting bars on a lathe this size, so every strap, every connection, everything must be spot on. and it is decided to add a large bar through the chuck into the headstock. This is going to give extra safety if the machine tries to rock during the lift. That bar and the lifting straps will hold it straight. This also means Curtis gets his first taste of tightening up the massive 4-jaw independent chuck to hold that bar in place. Once everything is checked and double checked, the lift happens quickly, the lathe comes off the skid and into the air, and the Franna makes light work of moving it inside the workshop. Once the team from Scott's have manoeuvred the tailstock end all the way into the workshop, the lathe is then lowered down onto another set of machinery skates. The crane will be re-rigged, and that way the lathe can then be pushed the rest of the way into position at the back of the workshop. And this is where we really saw how skilled and experienced the guys from Scott's are, because it was really just a matter of minutes before they were able to position the lathe perfectly in place. But of course, Curtis has to make sure that it's sitting nice and square.
Here we go. Close enough.
For now, we're going to sit it on timbers until we get a chance to set up the leveling feet properly later on. And the work for the guys at Scott's Transport is done. Huge thanks to Barry, Zach and Cooper for making what could have been a stressful day feel smooth and controlled from start to finish. Now that everything is finally in place, we can step back and really take a look at this monster lathe sitting in its new home in our workshop. This is a massive milestone for us. It represents growth, new opportunities, and the next chapter of what we're building here at Cutting Edge Engineering.
Where is it? What is it? Shh. What's up here? What's this? Amy. Amy. Hey, where you going? Where you going? Go get a toy. Go on. Where's your toy? Go get a toy. What are you doing? Oh, come find it.
Righto guys, so our big lathe is here and it is in the workshop. So what we're going to do is give you a closer look as to what we've got. So as Karen said, the specs of this machine, we are able to fit 6 meters between centers and a 1600 swing over the bed, and we can also swing 1200 mil over the carriage. So one thing that's very different with this lathe compared to our frontline lathe, we only have one dial for selecting the speeds for the spindle, and we have 3 speeds on that, and our speed ranges go from 50 to 300 RPM, and we can fine tune that using a VFD.
Cool.
So I've actually never seen that on a lathe this size before, so it is going to be interesting and very handy to see how well it works. It also does have metric and imperial threading capabilities like most other lathes. Moving on to the chuck, obviously it is a massive chuck. This is 1250 mil in diameter, and we are also looking at purchasing a 3-jaw self-centering chuck. It did also come with a sliding chuck guard that was removed for transport. So these chucks on these larger machines, they don't have a cam lock system. What this one has is an A215 spindle nose, which means you undo the bolts on the chuck, removing it from the spindle. And the spindle bore on this is only 140 mil, but we did get a quote to get a big bore lathe about 12 inches, but that actually doubled the price of the lathe. And I really couldn't justify spending the money to have that done. Not only would we have to have enough room behind the lathe and a support system there for material to go through the spindle, the length of the bed pretty much eliminates the need for that. Because we have a 6 meter bed and 2 steadies, we've got enough room on the bed to fit any job we need to. So moving down to the carriage, it is basically the same as what you would find on any other machine, except it is much bigger. It does have an offset block in it, which allows the tool post to be all the way out for the maximum swing. And this tool post fits 50 mil tooling. We could use our 32 mil tooling and just use a spacer to pack that up, but we are currently getting pricing on new tooling for it. And something else that I really like is the top slide is actually powered and it has a stroke of 300 mil. In the future, I do plan on fitting a digital scale to the top slide so we can accurately measure tapers. Something we totally forgot about when we ordered the lathe was the option of a quick change tool post, but ESP Machinery were able to organise one for us, and that is something that we will be fitting in a future video. Because of the height of the tool post and the chuck, it is going to be a problem getting up there to adjust tools and see what we're doing, especially adjusting the chuck because of how high it is. So what we're going to have to come up with is a way to eliminate that. There are a couple of options. We could make up a platform that mounts to the bottom of the carriage and you can ride that along with the lathe while it's working, or we make up a platform that sits on the ground and is the length of the lathe. Something the lathe does come with standard is a 2-axis digital readout. I think the location of the readout screen is going to be a problem, especially if I have a big job in the lathe. It's going to be quite difficult to reach in here and do any adjustments on the digital readout, so I'm probably going to end up moving that from here out to here where it's nice and easy for me to use it. On the carriage there is a feed lever so you can feed the cross slide in and out and the carriage left to right, and by moving it over and pushing the button, that gives you your rapid traverse to move everything in a hurry, which is basically the same as our Shenyang. And if you're wondering what all the gold stuff is on all the machine surfaces, that is a protective film that is put on by the factory to prevent rust. That does need to be removed, but we're going to leave it on there until we're ready to run a job in it. And down to the tailstock, you can see it is very sizable. This is a Morse Taper 6. It does have 300 mil quill travel, and the diameter of the quill is 160 mil. And a feature that I am really happy about on the tailstock is it is powered, so I don't have to try and drag it around. All I need to do is push a button to move it up the bed and push a button to move it back. Trying to move that by hand with a hand crank, you'd have an arm that big. Something else I'm really happy about is the feed handle for the quill is on the side of the tailstock, and it is 2-speed, so we can rapid it out to a job and then slow it down to put a bit of pressure against it. Slow is good for pushing tension on a job or even drilling holes. So the lathe does come factory with the splash guard and a coolant tray. We also do have covers for the windows, and there are removable panels that are down here in the bottom of the splash guard, so you can remove them and easily clean swarf out of the tray. And down here on the back of the lathe is where the coolant pump and tank will actually be. It feeds into the back of the splash guard here, which then travels down the chain gang up to the carriage. The power is up here on the very top of the splash guard, and that wiring has been run through the top rail. The lathe also does come with an oil lubing system to lubricate all of the various moving components. This is the electrical cabinet that houses all of the breakers, all of the circuitry, the main switches and the VFD for the lathe. And in the back of the headstock, we can see the end of the spindle, all of the change gears on the right-hand side. We then have the main input into the headstock of the lathe, and that runs down to the motor, which is a 22.5 kilowatt or a 30 horsepower motor. So that's pretty much all the details about the lathe, but we did order a few accessories. What we ended up getting was a 70 to 470 mil steady rest, and then we got a larger one which is rated from 400 to 700 mil. So this here is the coolant tank. Quite light.
Okay.
Which we will need to hook up to the back of the lathe once we get everything commissioned and working.
What's in there?
I don't know. Oh, these are all the bottom plates for the steady. In this box is all of the locking clamps for the steady rest. I'm not going to unpack them, we're just going to get rid of the box.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to unpack at least one. Oh,
sizable.
that's heavy.
Okay, and then the bolts probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rightio. That's those.
I'm going to crane it. $70 kilo. 70. Yeah. And in this box here is the basic toolkit for the machine.
Curtis's favourite oiler.
I love these things. Dead center.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that goes in the spindle,
Okay.
and then you put this in it.
Oh, okay. So it's a sleeve. Big sleeve.
Basically a big sleeve.
Okay.
And this is our faceplate. It is 1500 mil in diameter, and it was a must-have optional extra when we ordered the lathe for fixturing some of these bigger jobs that won't fit in the forejaw. It did also come with these wedge-style leveling feet. I'm not a big fan of those, so we are going to be making our own leveling feet in a future video. So that is pretty much the tour done. Something we'd actually planned for before the machine arrived was having our electrician come in and make sure there was enough power supply coming from the street to the workshop to run this lathe. The power supply wasn't a big problem, but we did have to upgrade a few of the breakers in the subboard in order to run the machine. So he's already been and done that. He's also run a 63 amp cable from the subboard to behind the lathe and installed a switch and a power outlet. We've also had the power connected from the outlet into the transformer and from the transformer into the lathe. So the lathe is powered up, but before we can turn it on, there's just one more thing we need to do, and that is to fit and fill up the oil tank. Need to unwrap those to see how much length we've got everywhere. So that's our oil tank filled and connected. Now we can turn on the power.
Ooh.
So what our transformer is actually doing, it is converting the Australian 415 volt power into 380 volts to suit the machine. Without it, we would actually damage the various electronical components, and I don't want to do that. And now we can power up the lathe. So we're going to start on the medium speed range, and then we're going to adjust it with the VFD. Something this doesn't have is a foot brake to slow down the spindle. Because of the size of it, it uses the electric motor to slow itself down. Now we're going to change it to the low range and give that a go.
Right on 50.
And this is the one that I really wanted to test, and that is the high range. So 300 RPM doesn't sound like a lot considering our front line lathe goes up to 1200 RPM, but on a chuck this size, it is flying.
Feel the wind off that. Wow.
Righto guys, so first impressions of our big lathe, we are very happy with it, and when that spindle starts up, it has just got a totally different note that I have never heard before, and I'm really excited about the feature of the VFD. That means we will be able to make adjustments to the speed of the spindle midway through a job to achieve what we need to. So something we won't be testing is the movement of the carriage. I don't want to go moving that while the machine is not currently leveled, because all it takes is a machine to be a little bit out of whack, and you can damage the guides and the ways, and I don't want to do that. So the next thing we need to do is make up the leveling feet and get it leveled. I hope you enjoyed the video of seeing our new Megabore Mac Turn lathe. Thanks for watching. It's big. Right, ready?
Yep.
I'm smiling too much. Right, how you going guys? Curtis from Cutting... I'm laughing too much. How you going guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today, oh fuck me, today's job is fucking very exciting. How you going guys? Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. So today is a very exciting day because it is new machine day. And
Take 50,000.
it's not 50,000, it's like 17, been counting. So what we need to do is get these doors unloaded to show you what we're working. Look, get these doors unloaded.
I can't reach the top. I think we need one of them. How do we get one of those? Yeah. Water out. It glued itself to the paint. Oh my god. Oh yeah, the slings would have stuck to it. That's awesome. Ready?
What?
Ready?
To talk?
Yeah, that's why I put the video.
You're fucking miles away.
That's the point.
Right. Oh, fuck. This is so off-putting. It's very weird that you're over there.
Walk up closer.
No, that's fine. Right. Oh, is it... And the coolant tank is mounted down here on the back of the lathe. It's not fitted just yet, but it's something we will be installing.
Going nowhere.
So that's slow.
It's not moving.
It's not moving.
Oh, it is moving. Just so slowly. We will be craning that one. Don't lift that.